Chris Brown, voice of the Buffalo Bills, on the call for Cook's second touchdown of the game against the Cleveland Browns yesterday. Good morning. It's a double victory Monday here on WGR. Joined now by Chris Brown on the Wester hotline. Chris, happy holidays. A struggle yesterday, but they got home. They got the win.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you guys and everybody listening. I think at this point in the season, you're not looking for style points. You're just looking to stack wins. And I think what we saw from the Bills yesterday was not only something we saw in the Bills game. I mean, you look around the league, Houston had to struggle to beat a 2-win Raiders team. And I think some of these teams that know they're headed to the playoffs are just wanting to get to the playoffs. They're struggling to just get up for these teams that are going nowhere. And I'm not saying they played down to their level of competition, but I think we can agree that the execution level, particularly on offense, was off yesterday, especially in the passing game.
Yeah, the passing game, not much really happening there. Josh Allen only was 12 completions in this game. The running game was going early. Cook didn't do much in the second half, Chris, but man, that touchdown run in the first half, and now another 117-yard performance. He's leading the NFL in rushing. He's on all these lists for Bills all time. It's really one of the best running back seasons we've ever seen, I think, for the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, he goes over 1,500 rushing yards for the season. O.J. Simpson's like the only guy that's done better.
Right, Thurman never even got 1,500, I think.
Yes, I think Thurman was like 14 and change.
Right.
And granted, he was more of a dual-purpose guy anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But my God, like what James has done, I think, has largely flown under the radar. And I had this conversation with Steve on our podcast, Bills by the Numbers, because we were assessing Josh Allen's MVP chances and also James Cook's Offensive Player of the Year chances, because I really don't feel like he's gotten enough credit for being in the running for that. All the attention goes to Christian McCaffrey, who, again, is more of a dual threat and doesn't even come close in the rushing yardage category. Jonathan Taylor, and then maybe Jackson Smith and Jigba as your dark horse candidate on the receiver end.
Yeah.
But, I mean, to me, James Cook has put up one hell of a resume this year.
Yeah, JSN actually right now is the betting favorite for it, but I think especially if Cook gets the rushing title, I think he's going to be the number one running back in the discussion. Well, we'll see. Him and Taylor might have a little bit of a race here down the stretch, but Taylor's not been doing much lately. So he and
Bijan Robinson just went over 2,000 all-purpose yards yesterday. I know he's playing for a dog team, but I wonder if he gets consideration.
Yeah, I think Cook, especially if he's atop that list in the next couple of weeks, I might think he's going to get more talk on that, but we'll see, I guess. And no disrespect to Thurman had 2,100 yards from scrimmage in a season, so he's got some numbers too. What did you think of Allen yesterday and the pass game? I mean, there were mistakes. Did you think the injury was bothering him in the second half as there were a couple of throws he was missing?
Yeah, there was a part of me that was wondering. Not only were his, I even said it during the broadcast, like I wondered if his throwing mechanics were impacted by the injury to his right foot, because that's the foot you drive off of when you're throwing the ball. And I felt there might have been a couple of throws where maybe the injury that he took impacted that, but he insisted he was fine after the game. I think he could have a toe hanging off and he would tell you he's fine. But in any event, I wondered that. And then I also wondered if because of the foot injury, they said, look, we're not going to run you around and roll you out, for example, and put you out there exposed if you don't have the mobility to avoid a big hit. So I kind of felt like the playbook got condensed a little bit in the second half as well, which I think contributed to their lack of effectiveness.
Right, and they go for the couple of fourth downs. So there were a couple of drives. I mean, if Dawson Knox hangs onto that ball, maybe it feels a little different for him anyway in the second half.
And Cook's dropped one, too.
And Cook dropped one, too. Cook's dropped one, right, deep. That's 2 weeks in a row that's happened. Were you surprised by their room at receiver yesterday without Coleman and without Gabe Davis?
Yeah, I thought that at least one of them would be up. So that was a little perplexing to me because I think those two, along with Shavers, are your best blockers in the run game, and they usually have two of them up, not just one. Because I think, just with Shavers in the lineup, it became very obvious what play was coming when you saw Shavers go in motion. If someone like me, who's not a coordinator or a play caller can recognize that, the Browns defense can. So I was thinking that, maybe it would be Gabe's week after it wasn't last week. And I got to tell you, with the execution or lack thereof, and you look at the production of the receivers alone in the game yesterday, what was it? I mean, if you hear was like 4 for 34, but
yep.
Palmer and Cooks had 2 receptions? That's just not enough production. You need more from that position, and you're just not getting it.
Right. Palmer and Cooks combined for 1 catch for 2 yards. Shavers had the 121-yarder, but those two, not much at all, really. So, we'll see. We'll see what the room looks like going forward. I might think that one of those two, Coleman and Davis, will play next week against Philadelphia, but we'll see. On the defense, Chris Brown with us on the Western Hotline for another couple of minutes. The defense, Chris, how did you feel about their overall performance? I talked about this with Sal, that they got big performances from individuals, especially Jordan Poyer and Greg Rousseau.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Greg Rousseau takes over the game at the end. I mean, literally takes over the game. Everybody was talking about Myles Garrett, and you look at the thing at the end of the game, and you could argue that Greg Rousseau was the best pass rusher in the game. So, I mean, he made some critical plays when they absolutely had to have him, and that's kind of been the story with the Bills' defense the last few weeks. They're getting some of the same issues that were plaguing this team earlier in the season have returned, namely sound fundamental tackling. I felt it was there very early in the game, but later on it was not. And, it's hard not to notice Shaq Thompson goes out of the game with a neck injury, and all of a sudden the tackling seemed to go south. A lot of extra yards after initial contact. And then, you look at them not setting the edge effectively, runs getting out the gate on the outside. And then busts in coverage at times. So, I mean, were it not for Jordan Poyer and Cole Bishop making unbelievable open field tackles, there might have been 2 more touchdowns in the end zone for Cleveland. So they really are on the razor's edge in terms of a margin for error. But then at the same time, you've got to give them enormous amount of credit, because when the offense was going nowhere and the lead got precariously thin, the defense came up huge. Over the last quarter and a half of the football game, getting stops, a takeaway, and huge sacks at the end of the football game. It was just remarkable to see the way the defense was able to rise up and make critical game-ending plays when they absolutely had to have them, and it was kind of the second week where they did that.
Right. Fourth quarter, the Browns had 3 drives down 1 score, and they were able to hold them to only 3 points on those 3 drives and get the win. There was one play by Bishop. It was I forgot who caught the screen, but it was a lineman and the guy who had caught it and Cole Bishop, and that was it between them in the end zone. And Bishop didn't even get touched by the lineman and made the tackle. So he had made a couple of
Batonio, Pro Bowl guard,
Yes.
coming at him, and he avoided him, slipped under him, and still made the ankle tag. Yeah, that's a touchdown-saving tackle, and Poyer had a similar one down the sideline. So, were it not for those two, the Bills might not have a victory today.
Right. Lastly, Chris, what did you think of Shedeur Sanders, watching every snap for him for an entire game?
Yeah, it's interesting because Steve and I watch games a lot leading up to the weekend, obviously, just to kind of get an assessment of the opponent, and we kind of looked at each other, and I remember Steve looking at me going, Shedeur's not that bad. And I was like, I agree. I don't think he's that bad. Obviously, he's a rookie. There's going to be ups and downs. The deep ball is clearly his greatest asset right now. And because he knows that's his asset, he holds on to the ball too long trying to make those big plays. But I think with proper coaching, and, he gets with a really good coordinator. Maybe there's a change in Cleveland this year, and Stefanski's out with his staff. But I think if he gets with a really good teaching coordinator, he could really sharpen up into something. I don't know what the long end game is for him. I don't know what his ceiling is. But there's ability there, I think, to be an above-average starter in the league.
Chris Brown with us. Merry Christmas, Chris. We'll talk on Friday.
Yeah, to you too. Take care.